Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is a big day today as we watch the original series of Star Trek Season 2, Episode 4, Mirror, Mirror. Now, friends, I do know that this is like a negative zone, bizarro version of our beloved characters and crew and ship, and of course, I can't wait to see that now. But before I started watching the original series, before I knew the greatness that was involved in what I've seen so far in Season 1, I probably wouldn't have been that interested in this one because I've seen it before. There's the evil versions. But friends, now having experienced season 1, knowing this universe, the stories that are being built and woven, and these characters that are being developed, I circled this bad boy on my calendar. I cannot wait to watch this one. So wait no longer, we will. Friends, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. You'll be alerted next time we go live with Star Trek the original series or any of our sci-fi offerings. And of course, if you'd like anything we do early or in its full-length format, the link to the Patreon is in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships. You get all of the episodes a day early, plus the bonus episodes with the, if it's not already out, the forthcoming ranking list of Season 1 episodes according to me, and the best guest stars of Season 1. Those are both bonus episodes that are either out or forthcoming. But friends, all that is then, and this is now, and now it is time to experience a name of a title of an episode I keep seeing pop up on the top 5 and 10 lists that I do for Q&A. Excitement? Thy name is Star Trek. Friends, prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go.
We believe what you say, Captain Kirk, but our position has not altered. The Halcyon Council cannot permit your Federation to mine dilithium crystals on our planet.
Oh, no dilithium.
Our dilithium crystals represent awesome power. Wrongful use of that power
Yep.
would violate our history of total peace.
Oh, so they're like Buddhists. Cool.
Report on magnetic storm, Mr. Spock.
Standard ion type, Captain.
Look, we got Sulu, Chekhov, Spock. I love Chekhov already.
When may we resume discussion?
The Council will meditate further, but do not be hopeful of any change.
Real quick, everybody, is the process of mining dilithium, like, terrible for the planet, too?
You do have the might to force the crystals from us, of course.
And we're not doing it.
But we won't.
Yeah,
Consider that.
exactly.
Transporter room energized.
I love when Uhura's on planet, too.
Troublesome.
Oh, Bones is going to love this. He's a huge fan of the transporter. Oh.
I was right. Those are our...
Ooh. Oh my God, it's like the Sig Heil.
Status of mission, Captain.
Okay, so we have 4 people from the original.
Procedure, Captain.
Ooh, shit. Yeah, play it cool, Kirk.
Sulu, you program phaser barrage on Hulkin cities.
Yes, Mr. Spock.
Holy shit.
Military capability, Captain?
No.
Regrettable that this society has chosen suicide.
Oh my God.
Your agonizer, please.
No, Mr. Spock. I tried. I really tried.
Look at Kyle getting some lines. Oh my God. Does it kill or just agonize? All right, Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier. I have a sneaking suspicion. Wow. Okay, so I think the most deadly part of this for me is I again know nothing about Mirror Mirror, but for some reason I got it in my mind that it was just Jim that goes to the opposite negative zone. But now that we've got Scotty, Uhura, and McCoy there as well, that's a whole new ball game for me. That's really, really cool stuff because now we get to have a true balance as we have a witness for Jim. Jim can't, not that Jim would, but Jim can't get away with, you know, just trying to get back. He's got to remain ethical, especially with Plum there, with Bones, because Bones will call him to carpet for everything. And I really love that Uhura is there too, because if there's any type of communication things that needs to be done, a good away team to go on this particular mission. But what is, if it's not the Federation of Planet Jerome Bixby? Nice. And of course, Mark Daniels.
The ship is subtly altered physically. Behavior and discipline has become brutal, savage.
The power beam jumped for a moment, sir, just as the landing party was about to materialize.
Captain, do you feel any abnormal effects?
Yes. Dr. McCoy, you better look us over. That was a rough beam up. Have those transporter circuits checked.
Got to be careful. There's different terminology. It could be.
Not now.
So my question is, did the evil version of these four go to our Enterprise?
What is this? Everything's all messed up, changed around, out of place.
Captain, what's happened?
Everything's different, Bones.
That spot. I spilled acid there a year ago. Jim, what in blazes is?
I don't know.
So some things are the same.
The transporter chief mentioned a surge of power. The transporter lock might have been affected by the ion storm, and we just materialized somewhere else.
Yes, here.
Yeah.
Something parallel.
You know what we could do? Who would really help us out here? Spock.
Another Enterprise? Spock with a beard?
Another Captain Kirk, another Dr. McCoy, and
An exchange.
another...
They step on her line, or if that was a pause, that was really cool if it was a pause.
What about the...
Get below and short out the main phaser couplings. They'll think the storm blew the standby circuits.
Aye, sir.
Then get on this technology.
And be careful. If you get caught, Scotty, it's Agonizer City.
Use your communicators for private messages. Sub-frequency and scramble.
Aye, sir.
Text me everything.
Run today's communication from Starfleet Command. I want to know my exact orders and options, if any.
That's a good idea.
Uhura, you're the only one who can do it. I'll be right there.
Yes, sir.
Nice, 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 nice. Really cool, intimate scene. Why is Sulu in the red?
For planetary target A.
Coordinate 712, stroke 4, Mr. Sulu.
Oh, is that a scar on Sulu's face? Oh, are they gonna let George cook? That is a scar.
You are away from your post, mister.
Is the captain here? Is Spock here?
Wow.
And the cat's away.
Oh my God.
No storm damage, sir. All stations report normal. You're ordered to annihilate the Halkins unless they comply.
Jesus.
No alternative.
No alternative. Oh boy.
Phasers locked on target A, Captain. Approaching optimum range.
Oh my God.
Captain.
Yeah, he's waiting.
Captain's orders. I'll have to check with Security Chief Sulu, sir.
Oh, Sulu's in charge of security.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Scott. Kirk out.
Oh boy. Spock is a deadly antagonist too.
Contact the Halcon Council. I wish to talk to them again.
Yes, sir.
Captain, it is clear that we cannot expect their cooperation. They've refused the Empire. Command procedure dictates...
Spock, put on your agonizer.
Captain, I have the leader of the Halkon Council waiting on Channel B.
It is useless to resist us.
Oh, look how he looks.
We are ethically compelled to deny your demand for our dilithium crystals, for you would use their power to destroy.
So I have a question. If this is an alternate universe, why are they the same?
12 hours, no more. Close communications. Turn phasers off.
Shouldn't they be like a warmongering?
That is unprecedented.
Uh-oh.
I shall be in my quarters. Have Dr. McCoy and Mr. Scott meet me there.
What's going on? See, you don't know how things work here. If this is like isn't it the Romulans that you can like kill your commander and take over?
5, sir.
Chekhov's gonna make a move here. Wow.
So you die, Captain. And we all move up in rank.
Yeah, there we go.
No one will question the assassination of a captain who has disobeyed prime orders of the Empire.
Chekhov. Nice evil smile, Walter. I think Chekhov brings a ton, just for the interplay with he and Sulu.
I command an enterprise where officers apparently employ private henchmen among the crew.
Well, one down. See ya.
Yes, he did your job.
Smart boy. Switching to the top dog.
Get him out of here.
Mr. Chekhov is going to make me a chief, sir. You could make me an officer.
Yep, you are.
The booth for this one, sir?
Yes, the booth. Carry on.
The booth. What is the booth? Well, that's where we dunk them in water until they stop moving. Oh, not that.
In my sick bay is a chamber of horrors. Two of my assistants were betting on the tolerance of an injured man.
Wow.
Mostly variations in instrumentation. Nothing I can't handle.
Of course, Scott.
Let's find out where we stand.
How the hell do you get out of here then? Recreate the conditions of the original?
Could a storm of such magnitude cause a power surge in the transporter circuits, creating a momentary interdimensional contact with a parallel universe?
Affirmative.
When you don't have Spock, you have to go to the computer, the next best option.
In the act of beaming, transpose with their counterparts in the other universe.
Affirmative.
So in our universe, that means their Kirk is going to want to try to kill the planet. Oh boy.
Scotty, can you do it?
Not by myself. I'll need help.
That leaves you, Plum.
I'm a doctor, not an engineer.
Now you're an engineer. We'll have to tap the power we need from the warp engines and balance it for the four of us.
Easy peasy. Scott's like, well, we're all going to die.
What kind of people are we in this universe?
Let's find out.
Really? Do we want to know this?
Captain James T. Kirk succeeded to command ISS Enterprise through assassination of Captain Christopher Pike. Second action, execution of 5,000 colonists on Vega 9.
Wow, you're a murderer.
We can do it.
Well, that didn't take long.
I'll tell Uhura to create a diversion, distract Sulu's attention. At your signal, we better get back to our posts. Keep me advised.
Spock's going to figure this out. Spock's like, I already figured this out.
Are you all executed?
I think not. The four of you will remain here in the brig and in custody until I discover how to return you to wherever it is you belong.
Didn't take Spock long. He's figured it all out.
Command of your own? I can swing that too.
Apparently, some kind of transposition has taken place.
Apparently.
What is it that will buy you?
Nothing.
Power.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. Just like that, Spock's got it all sussed out, taken care of. Bo on the other Enterprise. We're just going to wait this shit out. We've got it taken care of.
Mr. Chekhov's plan.
And I believe he's going to do the same thing here. That's the booth. Wow.
I presume you've ordered full duration?
I haven't decided.
Full duration must mean death.
That is, of course, your affair.
He's going to figure this out if he's as smart as our Spock.
I inquire if you intend to persist in your unusual course of action.
Unusual.
I have found you to be an excellent officer. Our missions together have been both successful and profitable.
And Protham is here.
Do you think we should destroy the Hawkins?
Terror must be maintained or the Empire is doomed.
Terror, wow.
I do not wish to find myself opposing you.
Ooh.
Continue on your present course. This confusing, inexplicable behavior
Is my concern, not yours.
It is his concern, though, Jim.
Formidable enemy.
I'm aware of that, Captain.
Oh.
Trust that you are aware of the reverse.
Holy shit.
Order, sir.
Release Chekhov. Confine him to quarters.
Yes, sir.
Man, they went full on with the Nazi salute, didn't they? So is it the ISS? Thought it said the ISS Enterprise. I might be wrong about that. But it's the Empire and not the Federation. I should be writing this shit down. Oh, that's a different shot of engineering. I like it.
fell asleep. We had quite a time in the chem lab picking up after the storm.
Ruh-roh. Here, I've got some water with an oyster floating in the top of it.
I heard about Chekhov.
Oh, there's nothing floating. It's a reflection of the glass.
What you've got in mind this time is beyond me. You're scheming, of course. The Hawkins have something you want.
Exactly. Yes, go with that.
All some clever means to advance you to the Admiralty.
This is my chance to become an admiral, blah, blah, blah. Go with that. Go with that.
If I'm to be the woman of a Caesar.
Of a Caesar. Damn it, bosun whistle.
I received a private communication from Starfleet Command.
Well, it's still Starfleet.
I am instructed to wait until planet dawn over principal target to permit you to carry out our mission.
And if not?
If I don't.
In that event, I am ordered to kill you.
But you know, man, even in this universe, Spock is still friends with Kirk, or to the point where he would warn him, you know?
Captain's log, stardate, unknown.
Cool looking planet.
The only man aboard with the decency to warn you, and he'll die for it.
He'll die for it. Who are you? I love you.
Are you going to act against the Hawkins before the deadline?
She's getting a lot of information from you, bud.
Shall I activate the Tantalus field? You'll at least want to monitor him, won't you?
Tantalus field. Tantalus couldn't eat or drink.
How many enemies have you simply wiped out of existence by the touch of a button? 50? 100?
Yes.
The great, powerful Captain Kirk, who owes everything to some unknown alien scientist and a plundered laboratory.
I wonder where they got that. I love this character. He's not gonna be able to kill Spock. Are you serious? Even this Spock.
I press him, and he dies.
Who are you? You're a great character. We need you on the Enterprise, the real one.
If Spock fails his order, he'll be killed anyway.
I'll see to it that the circumstances of his failure will clear him.
You're not even afraid of Starfleet Command. Can your scheme bring you that much power?
You have no idea.
And what about me? How does Marlena fit in?
Marlena.
How does Marlena want to fit in?
I love Marlena. Can you bring her with you?
Scotty here, sir.
We have to get out of here within 3 hours. Spock has orders to kill me unless I complete the military mission.
God, this is such a good episode.
Half hour at the most.
If we miss,
We couldn't get out of here in a century.
Oh, wow.
I'll be in the transporter room in 10 minutes. I'll meet you in the sick bay afterward.
Aye, sir.
They're gonna get, I mean, you talk about crackerjack timing here.
Who is conducting the research?
The Captain and Mr. Scott.
The computer is a bigger player in this universe.
Classified under voice index log.
Well, Spock can get around that shit. Are you kidding me?
My security board has detected extensive use of computer, Mr. Spock. I was about to inform you.
I'm sure.
That is my concern.
Correct. It's your play.
Look at that scar. Wow.
I suggest you remember that my operatives would avenge my death.
I love her.
Oiling my traps, darling.
Marry me, Marlena.
It's very hard for a working officer to shine as a woman. Every minute.
Manipulation at its finest, but I love this character.
I remember when you used to talk that way.
Who's she like? She's like working for Spock or something, or herself. She could easily be working for her own captaincy.
I've got to go.
Ship's business.
Stick with the power play. Stick with the power play. It seems lockstep with this place.
Do I see hesitation in your eyes? About anything?
This is such a surprising, awesome exchange.
I've been a captain's woman and I like it. I'll be one again if I have to go through every officer in the fleet.
Jesus.
I simply meant that you could be anything you want to be.
I think Jim actually likes her. This is not Jim playing, it might have 90% of it's Jim playing his seduction game. I think there's a 10% he actually likes Marlena.
Been a long time since you've kissed me like that.
And I also think she's way smarter than she's letting on, and she's already figured out this is not her Kirk.
Am I your woman?
You're the captain's woman until he says you're not.
See, a statement like that will keep her guessing, maybe. because that was pretty harsh. We have had some really good characters so far in season 2. To Pring, to Pal, Marlena, ooh, really, really good ones.
Yes, Captain.
Scotty's signal should be coming through any moment now. You know what to do.
I've got a pretty good idea, sir.
Keep Sulu's attention off that board.
Oh no, she's gonna have to like flirt with him, isn't she? Oh, here we go. Scotty always in the Jeffries tubes putting up magnets. What was the last time we saw him doing that, everybody? Wasn't that Enemy Within, I think. You know, George plays Sinister really well.
I'm afraid I changed my mind.
And Nichelle Nichols is absolutely fantastic.
So do you, mister.
Mister. Oh, I thought she took his knife for a second.
Take over for me.
Look at that guy in the right by the on the right-hand side of the turbo lift with that smile on his face. That is awesome shit right there.
Please restrict your movements, Captain.
Come on, Spock. I've got a couple hours left. It's washed out a little bit.
Are you going to shoot me now, Spock? I thought I had until dawn.
I shall make that decision. Since you returned from the planet.
Well, the lighting's effed up in this one.
Logical manner. I want to know why.
Shoot, you're wasting time.
They've got a ring of shadow around it too. That's interesting.
But Dr. McCoy has a plenitude of human weaknesses. Sentimental, soft. You may not tell me what I want to know.
Leonard will crack. This is a great episode. What a great episode. Really well paced.
Captain, stand over there. Doctor, it is time for answers.
It's going to take everybody. Ooh. Good stunt by Nimoy. Good stunt by Shatner. I actually like this fight better than I do Amok Time. Jeez, oh Pete. Scotty, I expected more from you. Oh, shit. Jim doing some street fighting. Oh my God, yep. Wow. Holy shit, what a fight. Great choreography there.
Hardly 15 minutes, sir. The field density between the two universes.
Listen, McCoy did better than Scotty in that fight.
Well, come on, help me get him on the table. He'll die without immediate treatment.
Oh. Leonard's never gonna let anybody hurt any of his people, including this fake or alternate Spock.
Everything laid in, Scotty? The time lag, so the operator...
Hands down, my favorite Uhura episode, too. Great. Maybe a tie with Space Seed for Uhura.
You've got that minute.
Yeah. Well, hello.
Mr. Spock has orders to kill you, Captain. He will succeed.
Apparently.
George does menacing so well.
After a fierce battle.
And then Sulu takes the captaincy. Wow. I did not see this coming where George is like this huge... Sulu is this huge bad guy. Marlena. She's using the Tantalus. Wow. The odds. the turns have tabled. Now, Sulu is a great fighter in our world. Well, never mind.
I can't let him die, Jim. Look, you get out in the transporter room, make sure it's clear. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Oh my God, Bones is willing to literally die for this guy.
Why did the captain let me live?
Because he loves you, man. There's another universe where you're best friends, and you're best friends with the guy in front of you, too. Oh, shit!
Our minds are one. I feel what you feel.
You'll see.
I know what you know.
No blinking. No blinking from DeForest Kelly. It's so good.
Activate the transporter.
She's got a phaser.
Take me with you.
I'm sorry. Our power is balanced for 4. There's no guarantee that we'll make it with 5.
Oh, shit.
Working, sir.
But there are only 3 of you.
1 is coming.
Be careful. Marlena will shoot somebody.
If you kill us, you'll still stay.
Nice job, Uhura. But I still want her to come. Is there any way we can get Marlena to come?
Time, Scotty.
5 minutes, sir.
Do you know what they'll do to me?
Yes, come on.
Bypass means that someone has got to operate the controls manually. I'll stay, Captain.
Scotty.
Jim.
That's an order, Scotty.
Is that the first time he's used Jim's name?
What about me?
Get on the pad.
It's necessary to delay your beam out until I could arrive.
He's going to operate it.
You're a man of integrity in both universes, Mr. Spock.
You must return to your universe. I must have my captain back. I shall operate the transporter.
I need my friend back, yeah.
How long before the Hulkan prediction of galactic revolt is realized?
Approximately 240 years.
The inevitable outcome?
The Empire shall be overthrown, of course.
Huh.
I submit to you that your empire is illogical because it cannot endure. I submit that you are illogical.
You have 1 minute and 23 seconds.
If change is inevitable, predictable, beneficial,
That internal clock, both universes.
find a logical reason for sparing the Hulkans and make it stick. Push till it gives. You can defend yourself better than any man in the fleet.
Hell yeah.
A man must also have the power.
In my cabin is a device that will make you invincible.
Indeed.
I love this. Oh, she helped, man. Shit.
In every revolution, there's one man with a vision.
Captain Kirk, I shall consider it.
Ah, fuck yeah, man. Oh, man, what an episode.
Welcome home, Captain.
Look at that beauty.
It's far easier for you as civilized men to behave like barbarians than it was for them as barbarians to behave like civilized men.
That makes a lot of sense.
May I point out that I had an opportunity to observe your counterparts here quite closely.
Oh, boy.
Unprincipled, uncivilized, treacherous, in every way, splendid examples of Homo sapiens, the very flower of humanity.
Oh, my God. When you get...
Yeah, but I think we've been insulted.
You got destroyed.
Lieutenant.
Marlena Moreau.
Oh, my God.
I was just assigned last week.
Oh, my God, I love it. Moreau.
All right, Lieutenant, carry on.
Oh, please let her come back. I know she probably doesn't because it's a damn show, but...
Nice, likable girl. I think we could become friends.
Oh, what a great episode. Oh my gosh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. All right, friends, we just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 4, Mirror, Mirror. And you know what? There's only one thing left to do, and that's talk about it. All right, friends, just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 4, Mirror, Mirror. And boy, oh boy, this one lived up to the billing. Okay, things I was surprised about. All right. Okay, I mentioned it, but I, for whatever reason, I had initially thought, just because of, kind of like that osmosis of being around Star Trek, the original series, that this was going to be like Jim going to the alternate universe and Jim's counterpart coming to our universe. I didn't realize we were going to have three others in Scotty Uhura and McCoy, which I thought was really, really great because again, in an interesting narrative way, and this is sometimes when I wish that we had less of an episodic. I would wish we had just a little kind of carry through with like a serialized element for the original series, because this is something that I think would really have been able to be brought back, like a callback at some point, because you have Scotty Uhura and McCoy. Everybody actually witnessing the actions of the others in the parallel universe. And you have these four witnessing the flip side reactions of all of their kind of like doppelganger counterparts, which would really help if something happened in the future, or there was like, some type of like what is like Spock capable of, or what is Sulu capable of. And they would have to say, well, we witnessed before something, in his psyche and his personality, that it must exist there. The opposite. See, that's the other thing that I was thinking midway through. The real kind of example that we've had of this before was The Enemy Within, when we had the two variations of Kirk. We had like, the very aggressive, and then like the very kind of not cowardly, but indecisive, So I'm wondering if the mirror universe is a complete opposite of the characters that we have and know, or everything that they act or how they act in the mirror universe is a small part of who they are in the prime universe, or whatever we want to call the real universe. So that's my question. It looks like it's that. It looks like it's like they're capable of acting the same way, because it would make sense that they possess all of the emotions in both universes. It's just, in one universe, certain emotions are supported or personality traits are supported, whereas in our prime universe, the opposite is. So, but I think they have everything inside them, the same, measure of capabilities, I should say, as I'm trying to stutter the fuck out here. But like with Spock was probably the best example. Still logical, he wasn't illogical and chaotic, so it wasn't an exact opposite. He just had, more of a ruthless bent to his logic. This is how the Empire works, and logically, this is how, ascension for captaincy and things like that work. So he was able to fit into both universes and really have just a variation on personality traits, which is super cool because, I think that's what leads me to believe that, in essence, all the emotions are present in both universes. They're just supported differently in each universe, which is really, really cool because, again, this is something that McCoy, Uhura, Scotty, and Kirk could mine or remember if we had a more serialized version of everything that has happened. So, but of course we don't. And again, maybe they do a callback at some point, because we had a bit of a callback in Amok Time when there was a mention of, you've been called the best first officer in the fleet. Well, the person that called him the best first officer in the fleet was McCoy at the end of season 1. So I'm wondering, that was a little throwback, and maybe a little throwback, if we ever have it again, would be great to kind of harken back to Mirror Mirror. Incredible job. Okay, everybody had some fun in this one. Everybody was able to take their kind of counterparts on a ride a little bit, or they were given really, really great interactions with these evil characters. For instance, Chekhov, great stuff, being evil, showing us the assassination and kind of narratively setting the stakes for what it's like on the board this Enterprise. And then we had Sulu, who was not a completely different character, but instead of kind of like the botanist-based Helms person that we saw before, now we have this security bent where it's, almost like, with botany, the study of, vegetation and life and things like that. And not necessarily security being death or anything like that, but it's a more physical, more of a, in your face, bare knuckle type of thing. And I love that and then adding the scar, and George Takei really came through in this one. Very sinister. I love the idea too that he ultimately of the flip crew, he was the real bad guy. You know, he was the one that was kind of like forcing himself on Uhura. They even made him look the worst with the scar. He had a very like devilish look about him whenever he was constantly scheming and planning and things like that, which I love because that's like the exact opposite of our Sulu, who is always so, it rushes into danger, side by side with Kirk whenever they're like charging into places. Really, really great acting examples there. And then, of course, Nichelle Nichols was able to play off of George Takei's Spock George Takei's Sulu in a really, really good way, especially that interchange and that kind of confrontation on the bridge. Great, great stuff. It really showed a lot of her character and where her character can go, where the character of Uhura is capable of taking the rest of the crew, really great stuff. We had Uhura kind of fight Marlena at 1 second to disarm her. So it was good. It was really, really good. And then, Spock was able to, and this was the most subtle of the flips, was Spock. Leonard Nimoy was really playing Spock the same way, just with not necessarily motivations, but with different logic principles in play. He had the principles of the Federation, of his Vulcan mind, Vulcan upbringing, I should say, in our Prime universe. And in this one, he was influenced by kind of like the structure of the Empire, And so when presented with the idea by Kirk at the end that this could be an illogical path, he considered it and even stated as such, Captain, I will consider it. And again, that's a great admission for a Vulcan, because the idea that he would even consider it, if he considers it, he's going to come and reach the same conclusion that, it is illogical to perform this kind of way with the Empire, knowing that at some point it is destined to fail because it'll be overthrown when too many, revolutionary support sort of make their way to the, bubble to the surface, and then the Empire falls. Again, it shows us too about Leonard McCoy. Bones is never going to he's not going to willingly let something happen to any of the people that he considers to be under his care, whether it's crew, friends, however you want to define them, evil Spock, anti-Spock, whatever, mirror universe Spock. He wasn't going to let him die. And ultimately, it was that empathy and that humanity that won the day. Otherwise, Jim was going to have to stay by and work the control without, Mirror Universe Spock being able to take over. Great, great stuff. And again, it shows so much about McCoy. And there was that subtle little move that Shatner did that I liked a whole bunch whenever he kind of like accepted that McCoy was not going to leave this Spock in a state where he could die. Give me 5 minutes, he said. He reaches over and he doesn't say anything, doesn't fight him, doesn't argue with him, but he places his hand on his forearm and like gives it a squeeze. Like, dude, you're the man. You are absolutely fantastic. I understand you completely. And, you can't even, he bears similarities to our Spock as well. And of course, McCoy's not going to let anything happen to Spock. He's just not going to. He can, again, I've said it before, McCoy will always have your back, even if he doesn't have your front, and that's just the contrarian nature of Leonard McCoy. I gave McCoy, how do I put this? I gave McCoy a tremendous amount of trouble at the beginning of season 1, because I guess I hadn't really figured out McCoy at that point. And, it seems like anytime a plan of action is put into place, or there's like a very major thing, a major kind of dominating event happening, McCoy is always there to say, hey, this is how it could screw up, or B, you're forgetting something because you're focusing on this major problem. You're forgetting all these little problems that are also your responsibility. And that pissed me off, because I was like, for God's sakes, Leonard, let Kirk cook, let Spock do his thing. Don't you jump in, with your devil's advocate, type of nonsense, until I realized that is McCoy. McCoy is always going to be there. He is the person that you have in the room that's going to argue with you. He's the one that's not going to willingly say, you know what, Captain, I think everything you say is the best. Nope. He is the person that you need to say, you know what? I might in my mind agree with what you're doing and realize that it really is the only course of action, but I am going to offer something in opposition of that just to make you think, just so you have to make sure that you agree in your own mind, Jim, that you are making the correct command decision. And that if my little injection gives you pause, well, then you're not making the right one. And that is Leonard McCoy. Leonard McCoy is there just to be a contrarian, not necessarily to be an a-hole about it, but to be a contrarian to make sure that everybody's doing what they think is right. Star of the episode, friends. Star, in my mind, for my money, the star of the episode, Marlena. I thought Marlena Moreau was absolutely fantastic. I loved her character. I loved that it wasn't subtle. It was like a seductive manipulation at play, but it certainly wasn't towards Kirk. Yes, was she being seductive in her delivery and things like that? Sure, but she obviously had Jim's back because she was able to take out the attackers that Sulu was there. Did she have motivations? Yes, she wanted to go with him, which speaks of I don't like it here. Why else would she want to leave? She could have used the knowledge that she had from Jim. She could have used the device to kill anybody that was in her way on the she was the one that was activating that thing. It didn't require an override by Jim. She could have eliminated all the people that Jim, Scotty, Uhura, Spock, anybody else that was in the way, but she didn't. So that speaks of the mirror universe, Marlena, as being closer to the middle. Again, you don't have to be like totally evil going to totally good or good to evil. You could be in the middle and be like a D&D terms. Someone might be neutral good and then they go to neutral evil, which means they're still not awful. They just kind of have their own motivations and intentions at the forefront. And that's what Marlena had. She was worried about herself, but at the same time, her worry and concern about herself would not extend to taking Jim out to, better herself. She wanted to go. And I think that was a really, really cool character. And again, if I would love to see Marlena, our Marlena, the one in the Prime universe, have a bigger role, just because I thought the actress did a fantastic job with it. There was some palpable chemistry between her and William Shatner, I thought anyway. What do you all think? I think that there was some really good chemistry between the two of them. She was able to kind of work with those. It played into Jim's strength or Bill Shatner's strengths, with that kind of quiet delivery. It slowed Bill Shatner down. We know he gets into problems when he has to remember and go faster than he wants. He has those Shatnerisms. I dare you, go back in that scene. I didn't hear any. Again, there's a comfort level there with the person that he was playing scene with. And Marlena was able to really kind of help Bill Shatner out there with creating this really intimate, really, really deep kind of moment for the two of them, where you actually think, does Kirk like her? Like her? This doesn't seem like his seduction act that he usually puts into play. I always think of Conscience of the King with Lenore. He literally deployed his seduction arsenal to kind of, get more out of her. I didn't see that at play in this one. I really, really didn't. But you know what? The one thing that we really need to know is who in the hell played Marlena Moreau? She was absolutely fantastic. I don't know. And I'm going to have to find out, but we're going to have to ask Q. And so, he's fickle, but hopefully he'll be able to show up and give us a little bit more insight to what happened behind the cameras of Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 4, Mirror, Mirror. Q. Greetings, mon capitans, and welcome to another installment of Q&A. And Warp Reactor, of course I will help you. It's not that I would ever expect anything in return, like taking over your channel at a future time. Of course not. I'm Q. I'm here to help. Friends, this is where, after having watched and reacted to an original series episode, I like to do a deep dive into said episode to find out what happened behind the camera, any interesting trivia, any guest stars that we should be made aware of, and in doing so, I wanted to make sure I didn't get off into the weeds, which I'm known to do. So therefore, I have included 5 distinct categories for us to explore. The first category, writers and directors. Who were they? The second category, guest stars. Did we have any? The third category, of our core cast, or the Big 8, who was present in this episode. And our fourth category, production notes, always the juiciest, what went on behind the camera and what went into the actual making of Mirror Mirror. And last but certainly not least, our fifth category, what was the memorable quote from this episode? Friends, let's get into it. All right, everyone, for our very first category, writer and director. Who was our writer? Well, none other than a Star Trek rookie in Jerome Bixby wrote Mirror Mirror based on a short story that he had heard a long time ago. I think it was called like One Way Street or something of that nature. But anyway, hell of a job, Mr. Bixby. We'll get into a little bit more of your accolades for this episode down in production notes. And now, who was our director? Was it another newcomer? Hell no, it was Mark Daniels for the third time this season. Mr. Star Trek was back and directed another heck of an episode as just for the choreography during the fight scene alone. Amazing stuff, Mr. Daniels. A tip of the old Q cap. Let's move on. All right, everybody, our second category is guest stars. Did we have any? Oh, heck yeah, we did. Barbara Luna played Lieutenant Moreau, as we were able to see Marlena come in here and really do her thing. Just an incredible actress, incredible chemistry with Bill Shatner, really great delivery, really solid, a character you want to see more of. Unfortunately, from my limited research here for Mirror Mirror, this is the one and only appearance of that character. However, friends, did I find a juicy tidbit, at least for this guy? What Q has 2 thumbs and is real happy about this next bit of information? Me. Okay, so Barbara Luna, as I was looking through her filmography, was in a movie called Fire Creek that came out in 1968. Guess who was also in Fire Creek? None other than Gary Lockwood, Gary Mitchell from Star Trek, and, wait for it, Morgan Woodward, Simon Van Gelder from Star Trek. Those are 2 of my all-time favorite guest stars for Star Trek. And now with Barbara Luna, Fire Creek has jumped to the top of my need-to-watch this list, since we have 3 of my very, very favorite guest stars in Star Trek, all kind of joining forces for good, bad, or ugly. Fire Creek, you're on the list. Let's move on. And now for our third category, friends, the core cast, or the Big 8. Of the Big 8, who is here? Well, who is the Big 8? It's Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Scotty, Uhura, Chekhov, and Nurse Chapel. Who appeared? Everybody was all hands on deck with the exception of Christine Chapel. She did not appear in this episode. I wonder if we're going to get the Big 8 in one episode this season. Only time will tell. Let's move on. All right, friends, and now for the meaty, the juiciest of the meat bones here as we get into production notes, our fourth category. Let's go through several of these little interesting tidbits from behind the camera, and which we've always said the story behind the camera of Star Trek is almost always just as entertaining as the story in front of it. With that being said, Mirror Mirror seemed to come off without too many hitches, but let's get into some of the specifics about what went on behind the camera. All right, our first little tidbit. Composer Fred Steiner adapted his Romulan theme from Balance of Terror to fit what would be the Empire here in the Mirror universe. He also went ahead and added a couple extra segments in there that he used during or had composed originally for Mudd's Women. So in going back and slightly tweaking a few things, he really was able to create a sound for this episode. And I thought it was performed very well, and it really added to the mood. It created that tension, and that's what music's supposed to do, is evoke emotions. Tip of the cap, Mr. Steiner. Nice job. And now for our next little tidbit. This is the first time since the Menagerie, or Menagerie Part 2, I always consider them kind of one story, that mentions Christopher Pike. Now, of course, we heard in that kind of that retelling when the computer was going over that Captain Kirk had basically achieved his chair on the Enterprise by assassinating Captain Christopher Pike. This would also be the very last time in the original series that we hear the name Christopher Pike. Moving on. Now, something that I missed in my reaction but actually saw in editing was the fact that Spock has a Vulcan bodyguard, somebody that is part of that kind of like henchman, honor guard, will avenge my death, which makes the line, now that I'm listening to it, whenever he's kind of talking to Sulu, like, someone will avenge my death, and some of my operatives are Vulcan. Okay, so when I looked back through it and I saw the Vulcan, I thought, damn, I missed that. So missed it, and an awesome job by incorporating a fellow Vulcan into the Mirror universe, which I think is very interesting that we have a Vulcan on the Mirror Enterprise, but we don't have an additional Vulcan on the Prime Enterprise. Interesting stuff. And now for the next little tidbit, and you all have actually told me a few of these things and kind of warned me of this, that the belly button or the navel was actually taboo back in the day for television. They did not want to see anybody with their navel exposed. And friends, with my background, having known people from Standards and Practices, I find this next little bit hilarious. So, both Uhura and Moreau expose their navels at one point. Now, and it's in various scenes. This was considered controversial at the time, as we just mentioned, but the crew, everybody, the camera operators, and some of the people that were non-essential to the scenes being shot, took the person from Standards and Practices out for a very long, apparently very alcoholic lunch, during which time everybody resumed production on the stage, and all of the naval belly button shots were filmed without the knowledge of Standards and Practices. I think that is amazing. Let's move on. All right, friends, and for the next little tidbit, this is something that I missed both in the reaction and in editing. I didn't see this at all. But if you remember the scene where McCoy tranquilizes that kind of young-looking red shirt in front of engineering, you can see the hand of a stagehand operating the doors just before he and Scotty pull the man inside. Amazing stuff. I always love stuff like that. I didn't catch it, and apparently they didn't catch it in the actual look-throughs either, because they didn't reshoot it and they didn't edit around it. But friends, let's move on. And now for some of the accolades. We talked about Mr. Bixby and how he was able to really kind of come out of the gate swinging in this one with an amazing episode for his first offering here in Star Trek, the original series. This episode was nominated for a 1968 Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, and I do believe that nomination was very well earned. Let's move on. And last but certainly not least, my friends, for this, the production notes section of our Q&A, we have the TV Guide 30th Anniversary rank list of Star Trek, the original series episodes. I always sort of default back to the TV Guide list because at the time it was promoted to be like the definitive Star Trek, the original series episode list, as voted on by fans, you know, with crew and cast kind of contributing to this list. So where does Mirror Mirror fall in it? Number 3, my friends, and of course, it belongs there among the rarefied air of some of the greatest TV episodes we've ever seen. Let's move on. And last but certainly not least, for our 5th category, memorable quotes. What memorable quote will I take with me from this episode? Well, I don't think for me personally there's anyone more memorable than the last exchange between our Captain Kirk and the mirror Mr. Spock, when Kirk says on the teleporter pad just before he returns to his Enterprise, he tells Spock, "In every revolution, there's one man with a vision." Spock looks him dead in the eye and says, "Captain Kirk, I shall consider it." Thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until we meet again, behave.